This video overviews our AIES 2021 paper, Designing Disaggregated Evaluations of AI Systems, Choices, Considerations, and Trade-offs. I'm Anhong Guo from the University of Michigan, presenting on behalf of my co-authors Solon Barocas, AJ Kamar, Jacquelyn Krones, Meredith Ringel, Jen Wortman Vaughan, Duncan Wadsworth, and Hanna Wallach from Microsoft. Note that although Meredith Ringel did this work while she was at Microsoft, she is now at Google. AI systems can perform differently for different groups of people, often exhibiting especially poor performance for already disadvantaged groups. A disaggregated evaluation assesses and it reports an AI system's performance separately for different groups of people, for example, based on race and gender. And several well-known pieces of work have uncovered performance disparities by conducting such evaluations in a variety of domains. Designing a disaggregated evaluation might sound conceptually simple, but let me tell you a story. A couple summers ago, while I was an intern at Microsoft Research, we set out to perform a disaggregated evaluation of face-based AI systems to see whether there are performance disparities involving people with disabilities. It originally seemed like a simple project that would take several weeks to complete, but when we actually went to design the evaluation, we run into pitfall after pitfall and complexity upon complexity, such as the ethics of dataset creation practices, issues with how to best account for all the additional factors that could affect system performance, and whether evaluation should take place in situ or not, etc., etc. From talking to product teams that were interested in evaluating their own systems, we realized that they too were facing similar challenges. So this work aims to shed light on the choices that must be made when designing a disaggregated evaluation. These choices influence the results that will be obtained and thus the conclusions that can be drawn. They also influence the impacts of these evaluations on people, including the people whose data is used to conduct the evaluation. At a high level, these choices can be thought of roughly spanning the why, who, when, where, what, and how. These include what is the goal of the evaluation, who will design and conduct it, when will it be conducted, what system or components will be evaluated, where will the evaluation occur, and so on. For each of these choices, we highlight some of the key considerations that underlie that choice. We emphasize that these considerations are not independent, and we discuss some of the trade-offs that must be made when designing a disaggregated evaluation. To give you an example, when designing an evaluation, the first choice that must be made is the goal, and there are three considerations that underlie that choice. First, is the evaluation intended to demonstrate the existence or absence of performance disparities, or is it intended to uncover potential causes? This distinction affects which additional factors must be accounted for and how. It also affects the methods that should be used to analyze performance. Second, will the evaluation focus on specific people's past encounters with the system, or will it focus on potential performance disparity that may generally affect people who encounter the system? And this distinction, which relates to the generality of the conclusions that will be drawn, influences how the evaluation dataset will be created. And if the evaluation will focus on specific people's past experiences, then the evaluation dataset must consist of deployment data from the system itself. And finally, will the evaluation be confirmatory or exploratory? Confirmatory evaluations are intended to provide conclusive evidence about performance disparities. So they must account for all the factors that can affect system performance in order to minimize the risk of drawing incorrect conclusions. This can be really challenging, but the failure to do so can also yield results that seem to indicate meaningful disparities when in fact these are simply due to spurious correlations. And in contrast, exploratory evaluations cannot provide conclusive evidence, but they can be used to inform the design of subsequent confirmatory ones. Because it is so difficult to design confirmatory evaluations, most well-known ones are exploratory. And as you can see, just one of these seemingly simple choices involves a lot of underlying considerations and trade-offs between these considerations. I encourage you to check out our paper for more detailed thinking. And our takeaway message is, when designing a disaggregated evaluation, it is important to carefully consider the choices that must be made. Our paper can provide a roadmap for designing disaggregated evaluations and interpreting an evaluation's results and conclusions. Thank you.